those who exist now, and even those who will exist in the future have in common. It has the power to magically imprison you into a box of limitations or set you free to explore and experience the full totality of your greatness. You're about to get deep into some deeply profound insights into what may be holding you back from the reality you desire and how you can transform it to propel you into your desired experiences in the infinity matrix. If you allow us today, we'd like to challenge the way you think about the world around you and invite you into the possibility of new and empowered perspectives so you can live your life more in alignment with your true authentic self.
Hey, welcome to episode 57 of Hacking the Infinity Matrix, where every week we bring content to those who are not afraid to explore what it means to unplug from the reality that seems to have so many people dependent on a conditioned system that keeps them trapped into thinking that they don't have any other choice but to hold onto its limits. Our mission is to bring more choices of empowerment, abundance, wholeness, and freedom into the mix, to allow your creator within to emerge and prepare you for entry into life's master laboratory, where you can fully test the boundaries of what you and others consider to be reality. What if all you ever knew was not what it appears to be? What if we could expose to you that it's infinitely, infinitely more? In this episode 57, Invoking Beliefs That Can Magically Transform Your Life. And since there was some techie challenges in the net, on a couple of platforms last week, let's try this first interaction again. But instead of just putting where you're from in the comments, just drop us some clues and tell us something about your city, your country, or even your neighborhood. So what it's known for. So if you're in Hawaii, put something down like hula dancers or volcanoes. Well, that could be Seattle too. Anyhow, if you're in Chicago, you can put down Michael Jordan or the Bulls, or even known for strong winds. Well, that could be Seattle too. It could be a landmark from the Statue of Liberty or the Great Pyramids, a sports team like the Bulls, or just something that makes where you live stand out. Let's have some fun with this one. And while Gary and I jump into the content today, see if you can guess where each other is from and reply in the comments to that person with your guesses. So what kind of magical powers do beliefs have, Gary?
Well, I don't know about magical powers per se, but they definitely have transformative powers. And it reminds me of many years ago, I read a book called Faith and Happiness by William James. And in it, he asks us to picture a person climbing a mountain. And when this person comes to a wide crevice, they've gone so far that they can't, the turning back is not an option. Right? Forward is the only direction. And a leap to clear the crevice must be taken. If the person believes, he or she, if they believes that they can make the jump, the chances are they will confidently leap into the air, sail over the abyss, and land at least closer to their intended direction, right, or outcome. The other hand, if the person believes the jump can't be made successfully, the chances are the leap, if they attempt it, would be feeble at best, and it's not, and if it's not attempted, then they would likely end up sitting there in worrisome contemplation until they die from exposure or hunger. You see, if the belief is that it can be made, the adrenaline could flow freely. The muscles would become empowered, and all the unconscious calculations would be considered to increase the likelihood of a successful leap. If the belief is that it can't be made, then there will be tension and tightness in the muscles, shortness of breath, reduced access to unconscious solutions for success, as they are being used to consider all the different ways it can't be done, and therefore diminishing the chances of success. And the reason is that when you hold on to and claim a belief to be true, it becomes a conviction that you're compelled to prove, no matter the cost. It consists of claims of confidence in a thing that thing is being truly and real for you. It adopts all the necessary presuppositions needed to convince you it can't be any other way. And this all translates into a magical and immediate transformation in your neuropeptides, your hormones, your muscle tone, your body's cellular wisdom, and even firing off of specific brain clusters to experience that particular belief. Positive or negative, it's experienced as the way things are in your reality. And as Henry Ford said, whether the beliefs are positive or negative, either way, they contribute to the outcome.
That's exactly right. So we've discussed at length of what it takes to challenge your reality, to be what you want to be. We've discussed in great detail the tools that are necessary for you to be able to consciously apply different ideas to your belief systems and your reality in order to affect the changes that you desire and to allow them to remain in your lives. We've also talked about the idea of how important it is to get in touch with your definitions and beliefs, to really understand them. For those are the things that actually determine what and how you experience your reality to be. And we have talked about the idea of the motivation of emotions. That every given moment you are choosing whatever they are, which in turn is your behavior, and thus becoming a reflective experience that is the result of your behavior. Choosing these things, motivated to choose these things based on the strongest definition that has been entrained within your consciousness since childhood. In other words, the strongest belief that you have about what is possible in reality or lack of possibility in reality is what motivates you to choose the kind of paths, the kind of behaviors that make the kind of choices that you do in your life, and thus get the kinds of results that you get. Today, these changes, all of this changes, because today we reveal what true reality really is.
And one could even say that the structure of your reality is a direct reflection of the structure of your beliefs. So I'd like to take a look at the structure of beliefs from a neuropsychological perspective today. And it's important to note that in order for a belief to be held, positive or negative, it has to have both form and content. Beliefs actually have a mental form or specific neurological structure that is responsible for the processing of or specific type of thinking patterns that express that belief. And the content part of it is the unique blend of an individual's perspective and point of view. It contains all the data, all the information, specific thoughts that develop and shape that mental form, right? And essentially, we're saying what Dr. Lipton, Dispenza, Chopra, and many other visionaries have said, and that is that thoughts can and do impact. They impact you right down to your neurological patterning. And when it comes to the mental form of a belief, it alters every aspect of reality that you are willing to perceive and experience. Now, when When you have a set of harmonious beliefs, so there's not just one, but a set of them that are of likeness, right? They establish a belief system. They all work together to support one another, right? And this system organizes and implements certain brain functions that are different from someone with a different belief system, impacting what you are ultimately capable of doing, to the behaviors you establish as habits, even the way you interrelate with the environment around you. And ultimately, all this becomes a support system for the identity you claim for yourself on a day-to-day basis. Belief systems are complex, right? They include very personalized mix of internal programs that access both hemispheres of the brain. Your limbic system, which processes emotions and memory, your immune system, your nervous system, your neuropeptides, which are responsible for the synaptic transmission, affecting a wide range of neurological functions, and many other functions that are still being discovered. Now, the thing about beliefs is that we all have our own specifically designed puzzle that we've pieced together with what we allow in as truths, or even what we ignore because we assign it as unimportant. Paying attention to some stressors and not others. There are circumstances where we relate well with some type of people and others where we don't. Well, this puzzle that we put together consists of all that information, all those experiences that we distort, delete, and generalize the details to fit our narrative of what we claim to be truth. Now think about it. There are over 7.9 billion people on the planet who each and every one of them have their very own version of reality based on their thinking style and the mental forms they've established. Using their primary representation systems, what they see, what they hear, what they feel, what they taste, and what they smell, and how that translates into an individualized concoction of brain chemistry that with specific learning styles and preferences, neurological networks, language preferences, personalized lexicon with verbal patterns, and filtered mechanisms unlike anyone else's. Now think about that. With all that going on, it's a wonder how we come to any consensus of what we call reality. Think about that, right? With varying content that includes, but not limited to, political theories, economic views, religious doctrine, inherited or established moral values, concepts of what we consider ethical, all come into play. So we can make certain assumptions about what life's meaning is. What we look for signs and symbols and words that bring meaning to our philosophies about relationships, sexuality, and life in general. Right? We presuppose what it means to feel pain and pleasure. What we'll accept as being healthy or having goodness of heart. Who or what equals evil. When and why we are motivated, and whether we are open to learn easily or even at all. Right? And the reason beliefs is such a huge topic is because there could be an unlimited amount of possible combinations of all those things that go into designing that puzzle of reality for you. So the question is, how does one make a change in a particular belief that would have the biggest and most profound impact on the whole system? And to be honest, sometimes it's best to just tackle the small ones and make enough shifts in those that the whole system has no choice but to adapt and fall in alignment. And other times you go for the jugular and you seek out a profoundly deep and highly spiritual experience that transforms who you are at the core. And then living from that core just strips away any unsupported beliefs. It brings to light your true capacity to be who you are, with behaviors to back it up, and in the environment that you exist in. It's like your belief system comes together. It comes together to create your very own, very real, and very convincing, quote unquote, map of reality. Which brings me to one of the key principles and presuppositions of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is our map is not the territory. Now think about that. I'm going to let that settle and sink into your thoughts. Our map is not the territory. We may think it is. And if you want to explore that horizon for some more, then jump on down the rabbit hole on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. PST, and let's have some fun, right? Go to, scrolling on the bottom here, so just go to hackingtheinfinitymatrix.com/rabbit hole to register for the link. So, and then just join us for some live and stimulating conversation. It's a really great time. You should block it off and join us there.
It is. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it comes down to the repetition of thoughts and habits form a pattern, a series or cycle of ideas and observations which allow you to create a perception of continuity and cohesion. These woven together creates the beliefs that you run your life by, thus creating the physical reality that you experience. Each and every one of these beliefs is the representation of a particular vibrational resonance, a particular frequency of the fundamental energy patterns that give us rise to physical reality. It's a particular vibration. And so that vibration is manifested into your physical reality and is manifested as your physical experience of that reality. Operating on a certain vibrational wavelength, it has a tendency to, in physical reality, to attract to itself patterns of vibratory frequency that are similar in nature to its original vibration. In this way, it will key into other beliefs, other vibrational patterns that will amass around this primary belief, creating what appears to be a frame of reference in which to understand and be able to perceive the original belief by surrounding itself with slightly out of phase vibrations. Similar but not exact, so that you can have a reference point or some surroundings, some illusion of a background against which you can experience your primary belief. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are an actor. Oh, and by the way, congratulations on your Oscar. Very good job. Whether you are in a movie or a stage play, you will need a set upon which to perform, a stage. And you're going to perform here. And in this case, in our experience, you're going to live here. So your beliefs of which character you are representing or performing as will be reflected in the set decor and the supporting actors. So if you are in a Western themed play, it is highly unlikely we or you would see a rocket ship on the set. It doesn't match the belief system or the vibration. Ideally, only like items will be attracted, which will enhance the overall theme of that performance. So recognize that one primary belief will always, in physical reality, extend itself to create a system of beliefs with which it becomes surrounded and supported, so that the primary belief can have a place, can have an existence in your physical reality. No belief will exist unto itself in a void. It is not an island unto its own.
Which, if I just interject here, so Sheba asked how to change a primary belief and is it easy? That's why, I mean, it can be easy. How to change? There's a ton of different ways to shift or alter a belief system. But what we want to do is you can't change something if you don't understand it, and that's really
Correct.
what we're bringing to start that experience for you. So
Right.
really understanding it is, and what the mechanisms and the components are, is the first place to start, and then we can look at, okay, well, now what do we put in place to actually make the shift, and when and where and how all that stuff will come in place.
Right. So, Shiva, as we described in the Me Mirror episode, once reflected, every belief is accompanied by its own entourage of supporting beliefs, a complete and total set of props to complete the supporting environment, complete with resources, support staff of friends and fellow believers, and a total enriching environment. So, by the way, next week's episode, this will also answer your question, Shiva. Episode 58 discusses doing this process while you sleep. It's very powerful, it's very easy, and it's really cool. Okay, so this compilation of assembling together similar belief systems so as to allow the primary belief to stand out occurs relatively as an automatic function. It functions quite naturally within you, so rapidly, so quickly that you may not even realize or have not realized that this is what you are doing to create and maintain the seeming background of your reality. This becomes so second nature that you have had a tendency to think of it simply as that's the way things are, or that's just the way reality is. You are so deep in the trees that you cannot observe the forest. So your life happens in this reality, in the specific beliefs of your reality that manifest themselves against this backdrop of the overall reality. But it's not simply that's the way it is. It is this background that we create by surrounding the primary belief structure with similar belief structures. So it creates a gradation, a variation of beliefs that expand outward from you in order to create the background against it, which is to see the primary belief in your life, the primary focus of your life. So you're wondering how to interact with others if all of this is coming from within, right? That's a good question. So, time. The linear representation of time has ingrained these belief structures within you, within all of us, to the extent that you take this background for granted. And you simply think of it much as if it were something that exists without you, outside of you, rather than from within you.
Mm-hmm.
In this way, it has been one of the primary mechanisms that has allowed you to experience the illusion of the universal reality as seemingly outside of yourselves. You may recognize that all of society, because of the replication of this idea, has adopted it as a physical reality. It has become somewhat of a mass psychosis perpetrated for centuries. Okay, is everyone still with me? This is deep. Hope you're taking notes. That's why we have replays. All right. So, what Gary and I have been demonstrating for the last year, especially in our master labs, is that as soon as you change the fundamental primary focus beliefs that represent the being that you are, the entire background will change with it. Everything changes, not just your perception of it. It literally changes. Everything is connected. Everything is the same one thing. And a change in the primary focus creates what we've demonstrated in the past as the ripple effect. The stone you tossed into the pond is your new belief, and it's causing the changes to radiate from its core, thereby changing the essence of your life all the way down the line and redesigning the entire pattern, the entire backdrop, a new stage to perform upon. Remember how we've asked you about the ever so slight, the subtle changes that you've experienced after doing one of our micro hacks? That's the ripple.
And the thing that
Slight.
you just interject here, Russ, the thing that I think a lot of people, even in that metaphor, a lot of people don't get is that as the rock hits the surface, what you're seeing is the surface ripple, but it continues on the way down to change the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
So this has allowed some of you to recognize that whole systems of reality, not just one portion, like Gary just said, but the total system of reality that you perceive your lives to be will then change from system to system, belief to belief, not just pieces or particles. Everything will transform in that way. And many of you watching this simply have but to realize that many of the things you wish to see occur, many of the things you desire to see validations of in a particular specific sense, will also occur if you will change the entire system first. If you're going to be a spaceman in the Western, you have to change your entire stage. Then all the particles that go along with the representation of the new system will also be there as well. So many times when you seek to create changes in your own life, your own primary belief focus will only continuously weigh that primary focus or its change against a background that you will not allow yourselves to see has changed because it's familiar. But if you're willing to recognize the ripple effect of everything changing when you change anything, then you stop seeing the primary background with the same perception. You will begin to realize that something is different somewhere, somehow. And Gary and I have talked about this at length in our Saturdays Down the Rabbit Hole shows.
Yeah.
We talk about our experiences all the time. We'll call each other up. Hey, have you noticed this? This is why many of you create the contradictions in your life. Because you say that you wish to change your primary belief. But I want to, but I will, but I wish this would happen, but because when you look around in your environment, you continually watch for the same environment, and that's the but. To compare the idea of your primary belief against the change. So rather than allowing the entire environment to be part of the new enhanced primary belief and thus change along with it. So when you look at the background in the same way that you used to, you immediately cancel the change you made in your primary focus because you compartmentalize it. And when in actuality, it's all one and all the same thing. Here's the rub. Once the new environment is observed, you won't simply accept it, but rather feel the need to test it. So imagine the pond again, and you've created the initial ripple, your new belief causing the ripples. Then, this is the but. Then you test it with a partial belief and create another ripple, which now can become an interference ripple pattern, distorting or even canceling out the first ripple, the first belief. You got to have faith in the process. But moreover, you got to have faith in yourself. Understand, like we've discussed in episode 23, definitive actions taken will matter, and definitive actions not taken will also matter too, but not necessarily the direction that you prefer. You got it? So that definitive actions is dropping that first pebble in the pond and letting that ripple flow. Okay. Also realizing that this is your choice, because we are at such a crucial, pivotal point in your own personal timeline that nevertheless we can give you some insights that can help you make the choices that you prefer to make to experience the world that you're yearning for, to experience the expanded version of you that is more reflective of who you prefer to be in the kind of reality that you prefer to experience. And from here, you can radiate outwards the feeling of love and gratitude as the world responds to you rather than you reacting to the world. So I'm going to leave you with this. Gandhi said, "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do."
Yeah, that Gandhi guy had some good sayings. I want to jump to some of the comments here. So first of all, we have Diane, I believe, was asking about microhacks. So Diane, microhacks are in our previous, well, in all our streams, we'll sometimes add in what we call a microhack. So some series of steps and actions that you can take to actually hack what we call the infinity matrix and notice a result or a shift based on whatever topic we're doing. So if you listen to our previous streams, you'll hear that we have some very step-by-step stuff that are very obvious, and some other stuff that's a little bit more softer in there. But you can grab them from there. The other thing is that I see McDaz is saying, why is something so simple so hard to explain? Well, the reason that is, McDaz, is because there are 7.9 billion perspectives on the planet in what a belief is, how it's made, what it constructs of, what it's constructed of, and so it's so complex with all of the things that are intertwined with it, and that's why, right? So if we were to just give one perspective and that's it, and says, this is it, we would be missing out on all the other people that need different perspectives to get and understand it from. So
yeah, and that's one of the reasons also that we use the analogies to try and really simplify it, so that you grasp the initial concept, and then you can
the principle of it, right? Yeah.
Right.
And then you find what fits for your model of the world to make meaning for you.
Exactly.
Right? But there really is so much to unpack when talking about beliefs. I mean, I truly believe, we'll have to come back to this topic over and over again, just to kind of unpack more and more of it, and and see what it is that you guys need from that. So as we've also mentioned, Down the Rabbit Hole is a great way to take these things even further in a more raw, unstructured way, even explore other topics too. But I'm going to send out the invitation again, like we do every week. I'm going to send out the invitation to everyone listening right here. There's a website scrolling along the bottom, hackingtheinfinitematrix.com/rabbit hole. Okay. Come and join us Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, for live and interactive Zoom call conversations where attendees really determine where the conversation goes.
So,
So
this is a back and forth open discussion. So this
yeah.
isn't us just being talking heads. It's a discussion. You ask your questions, we try to answer it, or somebody else in the group tries to answer it. So it's really a back and forth, so that you can get that clarity that you're looking for.
Because we can only do so much through the texting, through the text messages, and also some of the platforms we stream to, the texting doesn't come directly to us here. We have to go back after and respond to it.
Right.
So that way we get some live interaction, and that's the way to do it. So hackingtheinfinitematrix.com/rabbit hole. So I'd like to leave you all, because there's so much to unpack, I'd like to leave you all with something that will linger in your mind and quite possibly create some shifts for you around some limiting beliefs that you may or may not have, but only if you believe it will.
That's the key. That's the key.
And again, as a larger metaphor, which we talked about, metaphors having that impact, I think about the impact of beliefs for myself and others I've worked with over the years. I can't help but think of a story I once heard about a scorpion. It was called The Scorpion or the Belief, where once upon a time, long time ago, in an ancient land, there was an ancient forest, an enchanted one. It was right in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not sure you know anything about where the middle of nowhere is. It's a mystical place where everything emerges from the no thingness of it all into the thing that knows where the wisest of wise old men and women live. And it's a story that begins as a wise person intuitively sits down in the forest by a cozy, warm fire burning within, deeply looking into the entrancing flames and feeling the comfort of that warmth, and appreciating the opportunity to prepare a supper, until again, out of the no thingness, a noise came forth from the silence of the forest, and bringing with it a wanderer wandering by. Now, the wise person invited this stranger to have a seat and began some idle chat. The kind that evolves into very deep and interesting conversations. Rabbit hole? As the night went on, the wise one shares some profound life events, and the wanderer listened intently through the crackling of the warming and illuminating fire. Then the food was prepared for the wise one, and the wise one offered the guest a drink and a meal. And in a rare moment of being caught by surprise, the wanderer replied by saying, what would I ask from you, wise one? What I would ask from you, wise one, is much more important than food. And then, taken aback a little bit, just a little bit, by the implied request, the wise one responded, well, how can I help you, dear wandering wanderer? Hmm. I've been listening to your wise tales, and I've come to the conclusion that you are filled with wisdom that I have not yet had. I wonder if you could foresee what I will be encountering tomorrow as I travel on my way. You see, I'm seeking the truth and reality. And I must say that I'm determined to find it. But I would also like to know what I will find on my journey. And with a moment, well, yes, of course, said the living oracle. As a matter of fact, I can see tomorrow clearly, and I have some news you may not want to hear. If you continue along the way you are going now, what lies ahead is a poisonous scorpion who is sure to sting you before sundown tomorrow. Now, this news, of course, left the wanderer wondering, deeply in thought until it was time for bed. And while preparing to rest his head for the night, he said, "Wise one, you'll have to do better than that to scare me. I've been around here long enough to know that there's no poisonous scorpions in these woods. So thank you for your little joke, but I believe I'll be continuing on my journey just the same. And when I return tomorrow night, I'll be just fine. You'll see." And with that declaration and a few tosses and turns, the wanderer quietly drifted into sleep. And the next day, as the sun was completing its usual cycle, and the setting tenderly and setting tenderly on the western sky, lighting up the evening with dazzling arrays of colors, the wise one proceeded with the evening ritual, completing dinner, followed by the warming of hands while gazing into the mesmerizing flames. And just as the warmth of the fire was becoming too hot, the same wanderer entered from his day's quest. After a welcoming invitation, he sat down in the same seat that he was in the previous night, and with deep breath and an exhale and a sigh, he looked over to the wise one and said, "Here I am. See, just like I said, no scorpions, much less poisonous ones, and the sun is just about to go down." And the wise one remained silent, looking deeply into the fire before slowly rolling up the gaze, and through the campfire smoke squinted at the guest for what seemed like a long time. Then finally responded, "Indeed, I must say, you are more fortunate than most. This calls for a celebration. Why don't you gather up some rocks and wood, and we'll make an altar where we can have a ceremonial fire, thanking the universe for your safety." And with a little contemplation, the wanderer decided that it was a great idea, and then quickly gathered up the rocks, which he strategically placed to create his altar. Then, with building excitement and anticipation of his celebration, he wandered into the forest to find woods he needed for burning. In a short time, he returned with the handful of wood, only to be greeted with a startling shout: Drop all the wood in the fire immediately! There's a scorpion hidden inside one of the logs. If you don't drop it now, you'll surely be stung." Having little faith in the predictions of the old man, the wanderer replied, "Silly old wise one, I didn't fall for that scorpion story last night. What makes you think it'll work tonight? You must be trying to pull a fast one on me again and making me waste the wood. We both know the real truth. There are no scorpions." And just as the guest was finishing the last words, "There are no scorpions," a scorpion crawled out from inside one of the logs, which were at his feet, and stung him on his ankle. Kicking the scorpion off into the fire, the young man began to yell and scream, and with his newfound fear of death, turn to the wise one. Please, I beg you, I beg of you. Please forgive me for not believing. Please forgive me for not taking heed of your warnings and dismissing them as jokes. Can you tell me how bad the bite is? Will I die from the poison? Please tell me, can you use your magic to heal me? And the wise one seemed preoccupied with the dying scorpion in the fire. And after what seemed like eternity, looked over to the young wanderer and said, forgiveness is no problem. You are easily forgiven. I'm sorry to report, though, that you may very well die from the sting of that scorpion, for its poison can run deep. As for my magic, I unfortunately do not have any spell that will save you, because the truth and the reality is only you possess the magic to believe what will save you or kill you. And all I can say is that some poisons are in the mind and may linger there for some time, paralyzing your potential to see things that are clear and obvious to others looking from the outside. So just let all that sink into your unconscious in a way that would serve you best. And if you enjoyed the stream, the topic, the content that you got today, we're going to do more slipping and sliding down the rabbit hole on Saturdays down the rabbit hole segment. So come and join us. Seriously, it's so much fun, right? And it's such a fun time. There's always new people joining us. So now it's your turn. Go ahead and block off Saturday morning, 8 a.m. PST. It's a free call. Just jump on, have some fun with the conversation. Go to it's scrolling on the bottom, hackingtheinfinitematrix.com/rabbit hole to get the Zoom link, and we'll see you there. That's our stream for today, everyone.
That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for sticking around, participating today. We really appreciate you and feel grateful to have you on the streams with us. Until next time, be well. Remember, we dare you to be exceptional. Implement these hacks and master the art of designing your reality.
Yeah. If we didn't answer your questions, we will get back to them in the comment section, and you'll get something back from us today.
Zebra,
so,
everyone can join. Zebra says, wishes. I wish I could join. Everyone can join. Just go to the link on the bottom and just register, and you can join on the Zoom on Saturday.
And they do show up on our replay page as well, but that's just listening. When the benefit,
if you want to
really
participate, just go to the link and register, and then 8 a.m. Saturday morning. If the time doesn't work, I understand that, and then you can catch a replay. But everybody can join. It's there. There's no charge, and all you need is just go to that link and register. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.